If we take a look at rich people, right, they come in all shapes, forms, sizes, and colors. What matters to many rich people is their ability to spend money, which leads us to a very important question. Can you actually spend the money that you have earned in an emerging country? This is a big question. And oftentimes the answer to this question is no. I'm going to be breaking this down for you now. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to give you some of the best places rich people are moving to in 2024 and beyond. Money is freedom. Money is power. But you know what money also is? Pleasure. If you have money but you can't really spend it on anything, then you're not going to feel too good about yourself. And if you relocated to a place where you always have to hide inside your gated community, where you can't really spend the money, where you can't really do the things that you want to do or the things that you've been accustomed to, then what's the point? There's no point. Yeah, you're probably going to end up saving a lot of money, but you're not going to be able to enjoy it. And if you are truly rich, then spending a little bit more on your lifestyle is not going to break your bank account. It's a matter of fact. I'm going to give you some examples now that I've personally seen. As you know, I have spent a good amount of time in Asia, and I have seen how rich people live in Asia. And it isn't just about Asia, it's actually also the same in Latin America. They can't really spend the money that they have. Like taking a look at Vietnam and especially Ho Chi Minh City. I mean, it's a cool place to spend time in, right? I mean, great outdoor food, friendly people, nice weather. You know, there's a lot of good in Vietnam, so I'm not questioning Vietnam's value. But what I am questioning is whether it makes sense for you to own a brand new Porsche in Ho Chi Minh City. You can't really drive that car super fast on the roads. Yeah, there's some good roads in Ho Chi Minh City and the better neighborhoods, but there are plenty of roads that aren't too good. And on top of that, there's always a lot of traffic. And you are on the road with thousands of motorbikes, and you have to drive slowly and carefully, making sure that you're not gonna kill anybody. The whole enjoyment and purpose of driving a nice car are gone. It doesn't make any sense. Now, if we compare driving a Porsche in Ho Chi Minh City to driving a Porsche in Singapore, we can see some distinct differences. Like in Singapore, people obey the law. It's a matter of fact. In Vietnam, when we're talking about road safety, that's just not the case. Now, I'm not saying that accidents don't happen in Singapore, because they certainly do. However, Singapore operates a strong rule of law that people have gotten accustomed to, and most importantly, that people are obeying, which is not the case in Ho Chi Minh City, which is not the case in Thailand, which is not the case in the Philippines, and many other Southeast Asian countries. To be fair, your car will probably not get stolen in Ho Chi Minh City. Sure, it could happen, but it's probably quite unlikely. The chances of your car being stolen in a place in America, especially the largest city in America, it actually just happened to a friend of mine in Dallas. I mean, the probability of that happening in America is actually much greater than for it to happen in a place like Vietnam. I truly believe that. However, talking about, you know, fancy cars, you know, Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari, like all the brands that rich people love, it just makes a lot more sense to have such a car in a place where people are obeying the traffic laws, where there's not too much traffic, where you have good roads, and where you can actually drive fast. And this doesn't really apply to Vietnam. And I'm just mentioning Vietnam now. You know, this could be said about many countries. It would make more sense in Singapore, but Singapore isn't really a country. It's a jurisdiction, but a nice one. Now that we talked about cars, let's talk about children's education, another super important topic. Very recently, a friend of mine left Vietnam for Europe. He moved his whole family to Europe for a number of reasons, including the car issue that we've been talking about over the past couple of minutes, but also because of children's education. He knows that in Scandinavia, he gets much better education for his children than he could have ever gotten in Vietnam. Not even private schools in Vietnam would have been able to outperform the education provided in Scandinavia. I know that Scandinavia comes with its own set of problems. Many problems, trust me. to preserve a better future for his children, he made the courageous decision to move back to Scandinavia, which I think was the right decision. A couple of years ago, him and me, we talked about this whole situation and how he wanted to give it a try, and you don't really know what you don't know until you are in that situation. It's always easy to be smart in hindsight. It's always easy to listen to opinions and implement the advice that you have heard, but being in this situation yourself really makes you realize reality. Look, I'm not advocating that emerging countries are bad for rich people. They can be very good for rich people, but they come with its own set of problems. It's a matter of fact. No matter what anybody might tell you about living in an emerging country as a rich person, there are definitely a set of problems that come with living in emerging countries. Corruption, air pollution, safety, and the list goes on. If you are a millionaire or an aspiring millionaire, there are a number of places that you should consider moving to in 2024 and beyond. Italy is a country that attracted quite a few millionaires in recent years for a number of reasons. It checks a lot of the boxes that millionaires like to see, including quality of life, education, safety, high quality food, quality roads, many different climates throughout the country, and surprisingly, tax breaks. While Italy is not a tax haven, and neither do I pretend Italy to be a tax haven, Italy offers now a 50% tax incentive to new tax residents. So if you haven't been a tax resident of Italy, over the past couple of years, you can apply for a tax exemption, which is 50%. It used to be 70% or 90%, but it has been reduced to 50%. A 50% tax exemption is still better than no tax exemption. And now just taking a look at what we've talked about, when we're talking about children's education and, roads and, just being able to live a high quality life for actually not that much money, Italy does make a lot of sense. If you're interested in moving to Italy, then you can consider the startup program. So if you want to if you can invest 250,000 euros into an innovative startup in Italy, you may qualify for a golden visa. Another option for you would be to invest 1 million euros into a philanthropic organization. Undoubtedly, Spain is another country that millionaires have chosen in recent years. It's one of the countries with one of the highest immigration rates across the entire world. Like Italy, Spain offers a variety of climates, different places to live in, a vibrant nightlife, interesting sceneries, delicious foods, and surprisingly, tax breaks as well. There are a couple of visas Spain offers that you might want to consider. The non-lucrative visa is something that you might want to consider if you have no intention of working in Spain, and you can qualify for this visa by proving an income of 2,400 euros a month. And if you were a family of 4 people, the income requirement would be roughly 4,200 euros a month, which comes down to what, maybe 50,000 euros? So that'd be one option. Spain offers a golden visa program as well. If you're interested and if you want to invest 500,000 euros into Spanish real estate, then you may qualify for Spain's golden visa. You can also invest 1 million euros into company shares. What else do we have? Well, we got the great country of America. I know this might sound like weird talking about America because so many people are leaving America, but looking at the statistics, America got a positive millionaire migration rate. There are a couple of visas that you might be interested in, like the E2, which is a treaty visa. If you come from one of the countries America got a treaty with and you want to start a business in America and you want to live in America, then you might want to consider the E2 treaty visa. It's an interesting option because it's not the most expensive visas available, so the investment requirement is actually relatively low. I'm not saying that it is, inexpensive or it's nothing, because it's still a 6-figure amount, but it is relatively inexpensive compared to other programs out there. However, what the E2 treaty visa does not offer you is permanent residency. To get permanent residency by incorporating a company and investing in the United States of America, you would actually have to obtain an EB5 visa, which are capped at I think 10,000 a year or so. Yeah, you heard me right. The United States government issues 10,000 EB-5 visas per year only. And the requirements for you to obtain an EB-5 visa are actually quite difficult. There are investment requirements, and you also have to employ American citizens. So there are quite a few contingencies attached to this deal. Taking a look at the United States of America, it is a country, it's a large country, and you can live in so many different places, including the overseas territories that belong to the United States, and there are quite a few of them. These overseas territories, they are not actual US states. We're talking about Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, and Guam. There's also American Samoa. There are quite a few places where you could consider living in that you couldn't really live in as a citizen of any other country. So America comes with its pros and cons, just like any other country, but it's quite an interesting place. But just in terms of like networking opportunities, America is definitely on top. Now that I've given you a bunch of reasons why rich people should consider rich countries, now you tell me, why should rich people consider poorer countries or emerging countries? If you're interested in obtaining a residence permit in one of the countries that we talked about, feel free to reach out to us now. Nomad Elite is a full package relocation agency that helps people from all over the world move to tax-friendly and liberal countries. As always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite, and we see you on the next video.